My friends are my power.
This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant.
It's like one of my Japanese animes. They'll pay for this.
Red, White, and Otaku.
That's why I'll never forgive the Japanese!
Hello! Welcome back to Red, White, and Otaku. This is the show where we talk about media made in Japan about America, or made in America about Japan. My name is Tangent Man.
And I'm Sheltered Snipe.
And we are here again to talk about a very special movie. By which I mean a movie. It is called Batman Ninja. Available on YouTube. If you want to go watch it, you can, and then you'll be in the know about what we're talking about before we say it. Or if you'd rather hear our opinion first, that's fine. Just to reiterate, we are a non-spoiler podcast. What we mean by that is the first part, probably the bigger part of the episode, will be non-spoilers, so we will not be spoiling any big reveals in the movie, or how it ends, or any big character arcs. And also, we will be trying not to spoil any other major or recent media here either. And then towards the end, there will be a spoiler warning, and after that, we will spoil the end of the movie and talk about in more detail what happens in it and to different characters.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That out of the way? Yeah. So we're gonna start with some exposition-y stuff, but before we do that, how you doing, Snipe?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Doing well. This is the first episode we've filmed or recorded since we released our first stuff, like less than 24 hours ago. So the project's starting to feel real, you know?
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's been scary. I've never worked on something from the ground up like this before, and it feels great just to get something that we worked on out there, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a multi-headed beast. I don't know how you're listening to this right now, viewer, but we are on multiple platforms. This podcast is available on RSS, which is kind of the overall feed for podcasts, and from there it's also on Apple Podcasts and multiple other podcatcher apps. We aren't on Spotify or Amazon right now just because I haven't decided how I feel about their distribution models. I'm still looking into that. And we're also on YouTube, and if you're going to watch it anywhere, I might recommend there, because we also have bonus videos we post that aren't on the podcast feed other places, like our recent, and by recent, I mean it came out like 2 months ago in your time, probably. Edge Runners Season 2 reaction. And probably other stuff by now. So definitely go on the YouTube and check out Red, White, and Otaku. See what wacky videos we've posted, and just participate in the algorithm so that we can try and monetize this, or at least justify making more of them.
Yeah, last time was a bit rough, wasn't it?
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop was an experience. I'm hoping that the video isn't overly negative. I don't know if it's possible to be overly negative about that show. But, we still want to keep things kind of light and fun to listen to. Maybe sometimes it can be fun to listen to us be miserable, and if that's the audience we've cultivated, we might be in trouble. But I think a lot of the times it's just as much, if not more, fun to listen to people who kind of enjoy what they're participating in. So I'm hoping that wasn't too off-putting to hear us just rag on this Netflix show from 2 years ago or however long. But this is kind of different, isn't it? Like, so far, anytime we've done an adaptation, it's been America doing a Japanese thing, right? Like Godzilla or Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
Well, I take that back. Cyberpunk Edge Runners was a Japanese interpretation of an American property, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it also had the assistance of Polish writers who knew what they were doing as well.
Wow, was that a dig at Japanese writers?
No, it was a dig at American writers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. No, that makes sense. I vibe with that. Where do we? I don't know. I guess we'll get into general opinion soon enough. But I guess for a tease of what's to come, where do we land on the writing for this one?
This was an interesting experience.
Hmm.
It makes Fast and Furious films look like a soap opera.
I mean, they kind of already are, right? At least beginning with the fourth one, maybe even
Yeah.
with the first one, really.
But like,
If you're, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like, I don't know, like a decently well written run, maybe like Young and the Restless. I don't know. People now know I watched them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is just us coming into this with different biases, but when people say like a soap opera, the implication I get usually isn't well written. Um, soap operas aren't known for that. Usually, when people compare something to a soap opera, it's kind of a dig. Uh, but Fast and Furious does have a good number of soap opera tropes. I mean, I won't directly spoil Fast and the Furious, but you have things like amnesia, faked deaths, heel face turns, good guys suddenly being bad guys suddenly being good guys. It's not unsoap opera-y, but you could argue any franchise that goes long enough kind of starts to skew in that direction at a certain point.
And boy, oh boy, this was an interesting installment to this franchise, wasn't it?
Franchise, right? We should probably start from the basics. Yeah. So this movie is about a kind of obscure property known as Batman.
What's that?
Batman. Yeah, I had to do some digging. Apparently, this guy has been around in some form or another since like 1939. The 27th issue of some anthology crime comic from the Golden Age. Yeah, I guess I'll stop playing. I don't know how long we can do that bit before it gets old. But yeah, it's Batman from Detective Comics issue 27. Basically, DC's marquee character, especially since the 1989 Michael Keaton movie. He has been reimagined probably as many times as like King Arthur and Robin Hood at this point. You can find a version of him in any given context. I've seen Pirate Batman. I haven't seen, but I'm aware of Aztec Batman. Batman fights Jack the Ripper and Gotham by Gaslight. On the Jurassic League, Batman is like a Tyrannosaurus or something.
I mean,
So this week, Batman's a ninja. Yeah.
he's fought Cthulhu.
Yeah, we watched that, didn't we?
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. We'll get into that later. But yeah, so this is another one of those, with the twist that it's being worked on by actual Japanese animators and writers.
Yep,
Kind of.
kind of.
Did you do any digging into this movie's production history out of curiosity?
I saw that there was a screenplay for the Japanese and American versions, like they're separate screenplays.
Yeah. Yes, they are. So, I had this as a disclaimer later, but I'll go ahead and say this now. It might change how you think about some things. Batman Ninja has not been translated.
What?
I'm guessing you watched it in English.
Of course I did.
So did I. So the original version of Batman Ninja is in Japanese,
Huh.
and that script has not been translated into English.
Weird.
Because of time constraints, the American team received the animation and wrote a new script based on the animation without receiving the script from Japan.
So they like Digimon the movie us?
I kinda. I mean, Digimon the movie has a lot of ad libbing and editing, but they still knew what characters were saying. From what I've read, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I've read, Batman Ninja was the version that we watched, the English dub, was written without any idea of what characters were actually saying, aside from context clues in the animation.
Huh. What the hell?
So yeah, basically this whole review has to come with a huge disclaimer that we watched the dub version, so any criticism made towards the writing of this movie comes with the asterisk that maybe it was done better or at least differently in the Japanese version. That said, like the English dub writers, we did watch the movie, and as far as I can tell, the animation wasn't changed at all. So even if the characters are saying something entirely different, I think we can still judge the quality of the story overall.
Yeah, because the story still gets kind of crazy at times.
I mean, one might argue it starts kind of crazy and doesn't much deviate from that course.
This was one of the weirdest Batman-related things I've ever seen.
Oh, man, I wish I could say that, but anyway, it's up there. If I had to actually make a ranked list, it would probably be in the top 30, but we're not doing that today. What we will do, though, is we will talk about the other half of the equation. Because this is a Batman movie, it's also an example of an isekai story. Is that something you're familiar with?
Yeah.
You seem to have a certain connotation for it.
They're a dime a dozen. Oh, I get hit by a truck and I got sent to another world sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that is the lens they are viewed through at the moment. I don't know if that's entirely fair, though. Like, I don't blame you for feeling that way. It's definitely the popular lens, but I think it's that common problem where a certain trope or genre gets popular and it's seen as basic or of lower quality by virtue of it being all over the place.
I'm just going to say the best isekai was Macaulay Culkin's Page Master.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was going to say, is isekai has been around forever, It's kind of we used to call it portal fantasy. Stuff like Narnia or Alice in Wonderland, where a character goes to a different world. Isekai is that. It literally means, I think it means from another world or to another world, something along those lines in Japanese. But yeah, there is a more regimented genre that goes by that name these days. It was kind of solidified by Sword Art Online, which is really weird because Sword Art Online isn't an isekai.
Yeah, it's just like someone getting their brain trapped in a digital world, right? Like their physical body's still in the real world, right?
Yeah, I mean, there, at least in the first season, I'm sure some of the others I didn't stick with it, but there is the component of if you die in the game, you die in real life, but the game isn't a real place. There are other isekai that have the premise of a character getting sent to a game world that is a real location, like Overlord, for example. But Sword Art Online isn't that. And in fact, most seasons introduce a new game for the characters to play. But regardless, it was really popular, and the isekai that came after it kind of used it to influence their formula. Even though really you could say that like Musoku Tensei is the real start of modern isekai, but whatever. Pretty clearly this is different from a lot of those isekai though, because Batman isn't going to the World of Warcraft. He's going to a version of an actual historical period, which is still isekai, just not the type that's most popular right now.
It's like an American Yankee in King Arthur's court,
Mhm.
That's a book
Also
I've never
isekai.
read. I've never read it. I like the title though.
Yeah, me neither, but I'm familiar with it. Any guesses on when exactly Batman is in this movie?
I'm assuming like a feudal Japan, like just blanket feudal Japan.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky because they don't pin down a lot of proper nouns. They definitely don't mention any years. But just based on some very light research I've done since watching the movie, I think it's in the Sengoku period,
Oh yeah, I think they
which is
mentioned
like
that.
the 15th. Oh, do they?
Well, they said Sengoku a couple times. Yeah.
Okay, I may have just like not paid close enough attention to catch that. But yeah, that'd be like the 15th or 16th century.
See, I didn't know what Sengoku meant, so I kind of just thought it was just another Japanese word for like country or something.
Yeah. I mean, we were listening to the English dub, so maybe it was. Maybe they used it that way. And a lot of things make more sense when you remember the game of telephone they were playing here, because they also mentioned that Joker has like broken the timeline by introducing guns early. That's not a spoiler; it happens pretty early in the movie. But if I understand the timeline correctly, guns were introduced during this period, so that actually wouldn't be an anachronism.
Well, he did introduce like Gatling guns.
Well, there are anachronisms in this movie, just not guns broadly, or gunpowder broadly. Alright, well, with that out of the way, Snipe, why don't you kind of tell us what this movie is actually about?
Sure. It was directed by Junpei Mizusaki, who at first I thought the art style of this looked sort of familiar. He had directed this like 40 something minute long big old music video thing for this guy named Sturgill Simpson, who's like a funk country artist who made like an anime inspired like Mad Max music video world thing. And it's like the only credit that I recognize that this director has besides, the second Ninja Batman movie. It was interesting. You can still find the music videos on YouTube. Then the screenplay for the Japanese version was by Kazuki Nakashima, who was the head writer for the likes of Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill, B&A Brand New Animal. Would have been nice to get that version, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, there is a lot of Gurren Lagann DNA in this movie, but we'll get to that later.
And then the screenplay for the American version is by Leo Chu and Eric S. Garcia. Couldn't find much on them. Music for the film was done by Kiyoshi Hirose, and I think it's pretty fun for a soundtrack as far as that goes. What did you think?
Honestly, the music didn't stick with me that much. Like I think I remember enjoying it. I think I watched it longer ago than you did. I want to say it's been about 4 days since I watched the movie, give or take. And I just can't recall the soundtrack that well. But from what I do remember, I think it worked in the scenes that the songs were in. I didn't find it offensive.
Yeah. There were also 5 production companies involved in making this, which surprised me, including obviously Warner Bros. Japan and DC Entertainment. Distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. But here's the interesting thing. It released first in the US on April 24th, 2018, and then released in Japan on June 15th, 2018.
Yeah, I can kind of understand that. That's interesting. I feel like a lot of these anime movies have a lot of production companies attached to them. Like, you remember End of Evangelion? Like, the first 10 minutes of that movie is just production company logos.
Yeah, freaking Sega was involved somehow. What was up with that?
I don't know. I must have missed the Sonic cameo, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's some of the more interesting production background details I could find. If you like, I could also give the spoiler-free summary of what the film is all about.
Yeah, let's at least give the, the lead in the exposition phase.
Alrighty. Basically, a character named Gorilla Grodd, who is a very intelligent gorilla, invents a time machine at Arkham Asylum somehow. While trying to stop him, Batman and his friends are teleported to feudal Japan along with all the villains of the asylum. And for some reason, Batman is stuck in the time stream for about 2 years. And then when he arrives in the past, the villains have all become feudal lords of Japan and are fighting over dominance.
All right. Yeah, that basically sums it up.
And then it gets weird.
So, overall opinions, maybe in a bit more detail. What do you think of that?
Okay, I guess first I'm just going to say my opinions on adding in Grodd to this film.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can break it down. Go for it.
Because I don't think... Is Grodd a Batman villain?
No, I wanted to talk about that too. He is not. He is a Flash villain.
Huh.
This isn't the first time I've seen him paired up against Batman, though. Well, paired up's not the right word, whatever. In the cartoon Batman the Brave and the Bold, which was I think 2010s era cartoon, 2D animated, it had a more humorous tone, and regularly featured Batman teaming up with other heroes. That show had a number of villains who traditionally fight other heroes be repositioned to be mainly Batman bad guys, and Gorilla Grodd was the most frequently occurring of those, at least in the first season or two.
My assumption as to why they put in Gorilla Grodd is because he's one of the only few intelligent villains that could maybe make a time machine, and you don't have to get, like, Superman involved if it's, like, Lex Luthor or something, you know?
I think that's one of the reasons. There aren't a whole lot of Batman villains who would credibly invent a time machine, at least not ones that have been in use since the Silver Age. I think there are better candidates that you could have used for simplicity's sake, if that was the only consideration, though. Like Kronos the Time Thief, or Clock King. Like, he's not usually a time traveler, but it's not a stretch. I think Grodd was used for a couple other reasons. One of those, I really kind of wonder if the Brave and the Bold cartoon was an influence on this movie. They have a lot in common, but I'm tempted to say it probably wasn't. I think they're both just drawing from older comics and both playing kind of loose with what is and isn't Batman. I think part of it is it's a historical joke. Are you familiar with Nobunaga?
I am not.
Yeah, he was a conqueror from the feudal era Japan, from the Sengoku period specifically. He's considered, I think he's the first of Japan's 3 great unifiers. I might be wrong about that. Kind of a monster, though, in terms of what he did. Anyway, the Joker kind of plays a role similar to what Nobunaga did in actual history. He rules over the same area, and it's mentioned in the movie that Joker, towards the beginning of the movie, it's mentioned that Joker is the one who's coming closest to unifying Japan. And Nobunaga had a friend, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, I believe, who was one of his, maybe not his friend, but one of his high-ranking generals. And after Nobunaga died, Hideyoshi kind of became the next unifier after him. And Nobunaga's nickname for Hideyoshi was Monkey. So I kind of wonder if it's related to that, which would also explain why Grodd uses the word monkey a lot. Like, I think he calls himself a monkey. Joker definitely calls him a monkey. And Grodd also talks about making Japan into an island or a land of monkeys, which is kind of weird to me because in most of the Grodd stories I've seen and watched, he would consider being called a monkey to be, like, diminutive and insulting. You know, he's a gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's also kind of a... This might be weird, but Gorilla Grodd is basically DC's closest equivalent to Doctor Doom. So he really is. Like, he's a super genius. He's tied to this fictional foreign country. He can credibly invent anything he needs to for a given story. And he's also strong enough to one-on-one fight most of DC's powered heroes. Doctor Doom because of his armor and magic. Gorilla Grodd because he's a super ape. Like, even among gorillas, he's very, very strong. So it's, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I hate seeing villains who primarily fight other heroes being given the Batman, because he already has so many big villains. It feels gluttonous. On the other hand, Grodd is cool, and I like seeing more of him.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what did you think about the villain choices in this film?
What choices? So we have Joker. We have, speaking of the main ones, we have Joker. We have Harley Quinn. We have Penguin. We get Bane for like 2 seconds. Poison Ivy, Two-Face, and Deathstroke. Deathstroke is the same problem as Gorilla Grodd in that he's not a Batman villain, but, you know, you have greater historical precedent for him being used as a Batman villain than you do with Gorilla Grodd. Joker and Penguin and Two-Face kind of feel obligatory. Harley Quinn is in everything. I think that she might be in every DC-related anime that we'll ever cover on this channel. And pretty much everyone else gets like a second of screen time and is pretty incidental.
Yeah, I would have liked like Mr. Freeze on Mount Fuji or something, you know?
Mhm.
And there was one villain you kind of left out.
Oh, do tell.
Bane.
No, I said Bane,
Oh,
but
you did?
he's on screen for like... Yeah, I did, but he's barely... I think I did. I think I said Bane, but only for like 2 seconds, because he's barely there.
Oh, that was probably why, yeah. My took my brain a second to register you said it because he was so forgettable.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's... Bane kind of gives away the game for me. In fact, there's 2 things that do, and we'll get to the other one later. Why do you think this movie is?
Is the way it is?
Is. Why is it?
I'm
What is it
assuming
here for?
I'm assuming it's for DC to try to break into the Japanese market with their most profitable character.
To an extent, maybe. I mean, I'm sure that's related if they haven't already. I mean, there's other DC Japanese content besides anime. I'm not sure how successful it is here or there, but I think that on one level, it is an excuse to create redesigns for these characters and a story that is contextualized showing them off. And I think that's why Bane is here, because someone had the idea of, what if Bane, a luchador, was a sumo wrestler? And that's why we get Bane, who otherwise has no role in the story, because we have to see Bane be a sumo wrestler.
I mean, I guess it's an okay excuse. I mean, these were some pretty fun designs, I thought.
Yeah, they were fun designs. I just, once I noticed that, or once I came up with that hypothesis, I kind of felt like I was watching a deviant art gallery. It's like, here's my manga Batman. Here's my manga Batman with different armor on. Here's Battle Damage manga Batman. Here's Emperor Joker, but Japanese. It feels really silly. And you know, it's fine. Comic books are kind of silly, but like once I kind of see that layer that supersedes any type of storytelling in my eye, it makes the actual narrative feel kind of cheapened by it.
I could see that, especially if they probably ended up selling products of these designs too.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that I don't know for a fact there's action figures. Those can be pretty expensive, but even if there's not, I'm sure that there's like wall art and stuff. And you have this might be a little meta or something, I don't know, but you have the like cultural appropriation element to it. Like, I mean, not in real life. Like, you want to draw Batman be a samurai? Who cares? But in universe, like Catwoman, what are you doing with your makeup? Like,
Yeah. It's kind of the same with the Joker and
uh,
his outfit, sort of. I mean, everyone's outfits there, especially what was going on with Robin.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh my God, we'll get to Robin, but yeah, that was quite the haircut choice.
ugh.
But yeah, I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmingly disappointed by the villains, mostly because even aside from Bane, they barely got anything to do. This was a Joker and Grodd story, and everyone else who was there was just there,
And I
like
thought,
their fodder.
yeah, I thought that was a shame because, like, they brought in a lot of, like, good voice actors for this. Like, they brought in, like, Tom Kenny as the Penguin, aka SpongeBob. But he voiced the Penguin back in
Mhm.
the Batman cartoon that I used to watch back when I was a kid. The one from, like,
Yeah,
2004. And it was like, I
mhm.
was really
I know the
excited.
one.
I was really excited to see a Tom Kenny Penguin again.
It's kind of interesting to mention that one because Batman 2004, the Batman it was called, could be considered like a predecessor to this movie in some very specific ways. Like that was kind of during the high point of Western animation using anime type animation style, which we're still doing. But it came out during the same time as like the Teen Titans cartoon and stuff, which were very overtly Western shows trying to imitate anime. And one of the ways that cartoon did that specifically, beside from just the character design, was Joker and Penguin are inexplicably retooled into martial artists in that show.
It's great.
Penguin mentions, yeah, Penguin mentions learning martial arts like during his travels in the Orient, and has like Geisa coded hit women bodyguards. um, But yeah, there's some shared DNA going on there between that show and this movie.
Yeah.
While we're still on villains, there was something in your synopsis you kind of got wrong. Not that I blame you.
Okay.
You said that Arkham gets sent back in time, and all of the villains in there also get sent back in time.
Yeah.
That might be true in the original Japanese version, and that would make more sense. In the dub specifically, it's mentioned that Grodd was showing off his new device, the Quake engine, and he invited all of the villains to come see it so that he could try and get rid of them. So all of these villains were evidently free at this time and willingly came back to Arkham for this event. And the only one, and even though we see all of Arkham get transported back to the Sengoku period, only the villains who were at that conference are depicted as being among those sent back in time. I mean, there should be way more people back in time if you teleport back Arkham Asylum, even if it's during a time span where most of Batman's big villains are free. Like, where's Killer Croc? Where's Victor Zsasz? Or, hell, where is Arkham's normal guard staff and doctors and stuff? Like, shouldn't there be lots of displaced Gothamites running around 15th century Japan?
They were all on vacation. Don't think about it.
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. Like, that really stood out to me because they established it right in the beginning. Is Grodd, why did you invite us here? Like, we're at Arkham. We don't need a narrative excuse to be at Arkham. they could have just been the villains from Arkham, and then you could have had like their henchmen, or at least some of their henchmen, be like Arkham inmates instead of random Japanese people who, for some reason, are willing to work for the Joker.
Maybe it turns out in the Japanese script, all of the guards are actually regular Arkham inmates.
Maybe,
Oh.
maybe. I will say I did really like the Joker samurai armor. That was cool.
Yeah, like I said, I mean the designs are kind of goofy at times, but at the same time, I really kind of enjoy them. I don't know, they got some fun flair to them.
Yeah, at the very beginning when Batman gets surrounded by Joker samurai, I don't know, that scene was really cool to me. It did kind of diminish this version of Batman in my perspective because he sees them as like, who are you? Who are you working for? Dude, you have eyes, right? Like, world's greatest detective.
Could have been some other clown emperor during that time. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Batman does fight a lot of clowns, but I won't get bogged down with that. But yeah, and oh my goodness, but hey, the villains aren't the only ones sent back in time. Who else do we have with us along for the ride?
A smorgasbord of Robins.
And
Catwoman and Alfred for some reason.
yeah, okay, that's the next thing in my notes. Is it's so preposterous how many and how specific we get with the people who get sent back. Like, okay, Catwoman, sure. One or two of the sidekicks, fine. Four of them, okay. Alfred, how? Alfred should not. I get the movie's like, oh, well, he was in the Batmobile while Batman was in Arkham. Why? Alfred is not a field agent in this crusade. He should not be out there. That's crazy. And I don't know. This isn't the only work of Batman media to commit this sin. I am not a big fan of when the Bat family is all together during regular stuff. Like, Batman doesn't need to bring all the kids to deal with Gorilla Grodd and Arkham Asylum. Like, that's a Batman adventure. It's not Death of the Family. It's Red Hood shouldn't just be casually hanging out with Batman and Nightwing. I know I'm getting like comic book nerd about this, but that's not what the Bat family is. Like, this is the set in the Wayne Family Adventures continuity. It's very weird to me.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Red Hood because every time he spoke, he sounded like a psychopath. And I'm like, Bruce, why are you letting him around everybody again?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, half the time when characters talk in this movie, especially the extraneous Bat family members or villains, they talk in like the sort of quips characters give before a match in a fighting game.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, like Guilty Gear or something.
Yeah, I won't spoil the context, but there's a bit where they're doing like roll call where all of the Robins like say something, and like what the Red Hood says like, and we'll kill all of them.
Yeah,
And Robin's like, they'll never see us coming.
yeah, I think he says like, "I'll slaughter them all," or "Let the slaughter commence." It's like, whoa.
Yeah, and no one argues with or corrects him or anything. It's just a generic expression of his personality. Ah, man. But yeah, we have the whole gang here back in, I don't know, 15th to 16th century Japan. I'm surprised they didn't bring, like, Gordon and Bullock and Mayor Hill or Vicky Vale.
Telling you, they should have brought Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. Probably.
Oh, by the way, did you know Yuri
Uh,
Lowenthal voiced the Red Hood?
I didn't. That's cool. I don't have his name pulled up, but you know Batman was voiced by the same guy who voiced him in Arkham Origins?
Roger Craig Smith.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a lot of high-profile voice actors. Tara Strong is Harley Quinn. Great Allele as Catwoman, Fred Tatasciore as Gorilla Grodd, who played the Megatron in the Cybertron games I'm a fan of. Like, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I've wanted to play those games. They're not available for any modern console, or at least the first one isn't. So that's kind of a bummer.
Sometimes you got to get a little tricky with it.
And maybe sometime. Oh, and how did you like Bruce Wayne's incognito costume? Towards the beginning of the movie when he's like a priest or something.
That was weird. He didn't need the bat logo on top of his bald head. Also, did you see the size of his chin?
Was it big?
Oh my god, his chin is massive. Like, it makes me think of like the Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents.
I mean, the Crimson Chin existed for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the bat on his head and the bat on his like Bible he was carrying. It's another. It's like I was saying. That's the other thing. Character designs came first. Like that's why you would do that, because you have to have the person eyeing your action figure or poster or whatever be able to know it's Batman, right?
Yeah, it's like, and let me tell you, his incognito look did not work. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into that later.
I really think that Deathstroke should have been replaced with Deadshot. Like, Deadshot's actually a Batman villain, and Deathstroke in this movie is basically just the gun guy, and the handful of times we see him. When Deathstroke really is all about the gun and sword. That's like his iconic fighting style. So it's pretty reductive. And there's at least one scene where we see Deathstroke embracing an age-appropriate adult woman, which is not Deathstroke's thing at all, as we all know. Oh, and Bane. I know we already talked about it, but I do get annoyed by Bane being reduced to a henchman. Adaptations like to do that. The 2004 cartoon did that. The 1997 Batman Robin movie did that with him working for Poison Ivy. Even The Dark Knight Rises kind of did that, but I won't spoil that. So many, because he's a big, strong guy, so many works like him to be the big, strong, dumb guy. But comic book Bane was like an evil mastermind. That was his whole point. He was strong, and he was smart enough to back it up. So,
now he's just like...
Yeah, just disappointing.
I will break the bat!
Talking about him as a character, if we can, what do you think of Batman in this movie?
He's Batman. He has a contingency once he's figuring out what's going on. He seems a bit more naive in this one too, it kind of seems like. And yeah, they really highlight that he's very reliant on his gadgets.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, yeah, Batman has a lot of tech and stuff, but in most things, he's never been over-reliant on them. He's still, he still has his prep time and his knowledge and stuff like that. But in this, yeah, he's like a kid with an iPad, you take it away and what is he?
Yeah, I agree. This felt like a very superficial take on Batman. A very, like, your first line, like, he's Batman, I'm Batman. He's that guy. Yeah. There's not really any sense of internality or pathos. There's no real reflection on who he is or why he does what he does. It feels really like someone based Batman on a handful of cartoon episodes where he shows up in a show that's not otherwise about Batman, and also his wiki page, including like his gear and feats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's not a master detective. He's smart, but he's not like the ultimate martial artist, even though he is a good fighter. and he's not like he doesn't have any kind of tragedy driving him or specific, I don't know, specific character flaws. He's kind of a generic hero guy in a bat suit.
Yeah, he's just man. Bat.
I think it would have been really interesting if if they wanted to do this right, air quotes. I think that it would have been nice to really narrow down the cast and maybe just have it be like Batman and Joker maybe being sent to Sengoku, Japan, and have the movie be about Batman rebuilding himself as the hero of the Sengoku period and explore how his trauma and drives relate to what's happening in this time in history, and have him have to adapt the skills he already has to better fit the new terrain and culture. That could have been a good 2-hour movie, 6-episode miniseries, something. But no, we don't have time for that. We have action figures to sell.
Hey, I'll let you know, I don't think I've seen any action figures of this film, but I think I did see a Fortnite-inspired skin.
Oh my god, that's actually worse. I'd like to talk a little bit about each of the Bat family members, but I'm hitting a few roadblocks. The first one being, do you have anything interesting to say about Nightwing?
I forgot he was in this film.
Yeah, like I like Nightwing, but super forgettable in this movie. Like of the 4, he's definitely the Leonardo of the Robins in this film. And I like Leonardo, but when Leonardo is written by someone who doesn't care about Leonardo, he can be pretty damn bland. Okay, moving on to the next Robin chronologically, Red Hood. We already talked a bit about him. What do we got for him?
I actually think he had probably my favorite sequence in the film that I can't say yet. But
That's true.
I would have liked to see him do more. They kind of explored a little bit of his background, like his personality in the film, it seemed like. And yeah, of the Robins, he was the most interesting. Probably because, like, his design's cool. He's got that big tall hat.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that. He's definitely the most interesting of the sidekicks, but that's not a high bar. He does get a really good scene around the middle point, and after that, he kind of fades into the background with everybody else.
Yep.
And then we have Red Robin. If you don't know, that one is Tim Drake, the third Robin. If you've played the Arkham games, he's the character in those games who goes by Robin at that point in time. He was also the second Robin in Batman the Animated Series, kind of, although they partially adopted Jason Todd, aka Red Hood's story for him. In other words, he's been around. In media, he's probably the second most common Robin you'll see, other than the first one, which is Nightwing, until about 2015, where Damian Wayne started getting a lot more play. Anyway, thoughts on Red Robin?
Just like Nightwing, I can't remember him.
Yeah, he doesn't do much. He gets a line of dialogue during a montage sequence where he talks about Japanese weapons, which implies he's the smart one of the group, the Donatello. And that's pretty true to his characterization in the comics, but that's the most he gets. I remember... dang, I was about to say, I remember his fight with Poison Ivy, but I just realized that's not him, that's Damian. So, no, I don't. Yeah, man, I'd have to work it... whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that kind of shows the problem here. Last but not least, we have Robin, who is Damian. Thoughts?
What the heck was going on with this Robin? Why does he get a monkey?
Yeah.
Why does he get a monkey sidekick named Monkey Chi? Is that from the comics? Does he get a monkey?
No, not that I know of. Definitely not that monkey. Okay. What I can say about Damien is that in most ways, this adaptation gets him wrong in almost every way. Um, they, I really think that I'm not the only one thinking in Ninja Turtle terms, because it really does feel like they've kind of forced him into a Michelangelo mold. He's definitely the wacky, fun one. Which is the reverse of how he's supposed to be in the comics. The joke about Damien when he was introduced was that they wanted to invert the usual model of Batman and Robin and make a book where Batman was the fun and relatable one, and Robin was the super serious, stern one. Like, Damian Wayne has a lot of angst, and he's a very violent character compared to all of the others, basically, maybe even Red Hood. Like, he was raised in the League of Assassins. He murdered people before he ever met Batman, his father. And training him not to kill people is a big part of his arc. And even having grown past that, he still has that all in his background, and he still often carries a sword with him, lethal weaponry, which most of the Bat family doesn't. So having this, hey guys, my monkey has a clue for us version of the character is really freaking weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oddly, one thing they get right though is Damien does have a habit in the comics of picking up pets. One of the first comics I read that had him in it was the New 52 run of Batman Incorporated, which starts with him adopting Bat Cow, a cow with a bat-like mark on his head that they save from a butcher shop that I believe was a front for a Leviathan or something, and just lives in the Batcave for a while. Maybe you don't remember, but we saw a CGI cartoon a few years back called Super Sons, where there's a cow in the Batcave, and that's why.
Yeah, I remember that. That was the best part of that film.
I like that movie. It was pretty fun. But yeah, he does that fairly frequently. He's done that with other animals too. So the monkey thing was actually kind of in character for him. It was kind of the only thing in this movie that felt in character for him. That, and I think he uses a sword in one fight scene. But other than that, he felt very influenced from, like, maybe Teen Titans Go. I felt like they were using a similar voice. Even though I know that show is kind of Family Guy-esque and thus has a much more morally dubious Robin.
It was.
And just generally from, like...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say it was also Yuri Lowenthal who voiced Robin as well.
Oh. Is Yuri Lowenthal Robin in Teen Titans Go?
I don't know about that. But he did voice him in this movie.
I just want to see... Okay, so... Yeah, I guess not. No, he did voice... he has voiced Tim Drake in a few other Batman animated films, though. None that we've seen, I don't think. But yeah, no, he didn't. He wasn't in Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go. But yeah, a very Michelangelo Damien, and that's just weird.
Yeah. You know what else is kind of weird? The animation itself was kind of off-putting to me a little bit. I probably haven't mentioned this before. I'm not a big fan of 3D, like, anime style films, if that makes any sense.
Sure, yeah.
Usually because they try to animate it at a lower frame rate, like the same one that, like, regular anime has, but it ends up coming off as sort of uncanny or, like, very choppy. It kind of gave me a little bit of motion sickness at times too because of that.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I don't have the motion sickness problem, but I also don't really care for this type of anime. Did you ever see Knights of Sidonia on Netflix?
I have not. What's that?
It's kind of like Battlestar Galactica or something, that's reductive. Fans will come at me for it, but it's like, it's a space station. Humanity's almost dead. They live in space. But what's relevant is that it was the first show I saw get really big. That was a CGI 3D animated anime. And since then, I've seen a lot more, and a lot of them are like Netflix original adaptations or Netflix originals in general. Like there's a trilogy of anime Godzilla movies that all use an animation style that's virtually identical to Knights of Sidonia. It might be the same studio. We haven't covered it, so I haven't done a deep dive on it. But yeah, I've never been big on that. It's always been off-putting to me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can think of examples of like Dora Hidoro and Beastars, I think, are also 3D ones.
I do like Beastars, but yeah, they are.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the animation, but I hear those have good writing, so I can look past that a little bit.
Yeah, I think part of it's the human character designs. Like, it's not as big a problem in this movie, for example, in part because the characters all have very iconic looks and costumes, so it kind of differentiates them from normal people. And Beastars kind of does the same thing for obvious reasons. But in Knights of Sidonia or that Godzilla show or a lot of other A-Gen, I think it's called, a lot of those shows, most of the human characters look identical. It's weird. Especially in Knights of Sidonia, where I think cloning is a plot point, but everyone already looks pretty identical, so you barely notice. I just wanted to cover... Well, let's go ahead and cover two last characters before we get out of non-spoilers. I don't have much to say about Alfred that I can't already express by saying that he shouldn't be here. I think if you were going to make a movie, if it was Batman Ninja in the sense that Batman was a native of this time period, it would make sense to adapt him and everyone else, but because it's a time travel story, just throwing him in feels forced and unnecessary. The other character I have a bit more to say about, though, is Catwoman. What did you think of Catwoman?
Felt like she was just kind of put in there just because you need a female character to fight another female character, you know?
Yeah. I was actually happier with Catwoman in this than I am in most Batman adaptations.
Really?
Yeah. Like, oh boy. When I was a kid, old man screams at cloud. But when I was a kid, the understanding of Catwoman was she was a Batman villain that had a mutual attraction to Batman. Catwoman now is generally considered a superhero in her own right or a member of the extended Bat family. I don't like that as much. I think that's kind of reductive. I think it's because Batman's rogues gallery has been amped up so much that it doesn't make a lot of sense for him to have beef with a character who isn't like a serial killer or terrorist. And because Catwoman's biggest crime is being a jewel thief, she doesn't really qualify. That's what Batman used to do. Like, if you read his Golden Age comic books or Silver Age, whatever, like every third issue is him foiling like bank robbers and cat burglars. And I like that version of the character where Batman liked her and they teamed up sometimes, but also she was in it for herself and would backstab him at the first opportunity for personal gain. Like, that's Catwoman to me, and that's more exciting and interesting than her being Gotham's Lois Lane, or, well, more accurately, Mary Jane Watson. More accurately in the sense that editorial will never really let them be together, but they can't ever permanently wind up with anyone else.
Right.
So in the movie, the Catwoman we get is an ally to Batman, but he can't really predict what she's doing. He doesn't even really know why she was there when a Quake engine went off. And in the past, while she is kind of an ally to him again, she is still unpredictable in a wild card in most scenarios. And, I've already been pretty critical about the story. I'm not saying that anything they do with her is great, but I do like where they're at with her as a person.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. Now you mentioned it. Yeah.
And while we're there, can we talk about the time machine, Quake engine?
I mean, it's better than EdTech 5, I guess, but you know.
I'm not like a hardcore gaming nerd. I don't know that much about like video game history, but every time they said that, it just kind of threw me back. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
are we gonna run Oblivion on it?
Yeah. It just kept making me think, oh, we're gonna see some video game nerd shit about to happen.
Just what a silly thing to name it. Like, I don't know how that organically became the thing they called it.
I'm surprised that they didn't just
And you
call
know,
it the time engine or something.
yeah, why not? The continuum core or whatever. The chronal energy who's it.
Something.
And you know, they kind of let the cat out of the bag early in the fact they don't want us to take the story too seriously. Like, Batman goes back in time, and Joker already has an empire. And when he meets Catwoman, it turns out she got there 2 years earlier. And as far as we can tell, so did most of the villains. Why? According to Catwoman, it's a time machine. Who knows how it works? Thank you. Thanks, Catwoman. Yeah. And everybody's just fine with this, too. I mean, Robin's what, 12? 2 years is a long time to be in feudal Japan. Like, you have new friends, you have a new culture. Like, I'm surprised we don't hear them speak more Japanese with how long they've been back there. Like, you know, if I was in my younger teens and was pretty independent, and I got sent back in time for 2 years with no way home, I might be torn about going back. Like,
Yeah. And it's like, oh, I know that's a spoiler. I'll save that.
okay. Yeah, it's just, you know, the world building, like, not in terms of world building feudal Japan, but just building the scenario these characters find themselves in, is just so lacking and hollow, and goes back to what I'm saying about this being a deviant art gallery. Okay, I think that's about it for me. Do we want to get in spoilers now?
Let's start spoiling.
All right. Ahead, we will be spoiling pretty much everything in the movie Batman Ninja. I don't think we'll have to spoil anything outside of Batman Ninja for this. So let's go ahead. Well, hit me, Snipe. What are your spoiler thoughts?
I was just gonna say with the 2-year time skip, you know, when they eventually do go back to the present, is it still 2 years later for everyone in Gotham, or is it only like 2 years later for them? So like, you know what I mean?
Did you watch the credit sequence?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so the interpretation I got just from Gordon and the cops all being directly outside the asylum is that basically no time passed. Like, the asylum went away and then came back, and they were gone for maybe minutes, if not seconds.
But they're still probably going to be 2 years older in the present now, though, right?
You would think. I don't see any reason they wouldn't be.
And that's just messing with me, just to lose all that time and suddenly be back in the present. Like, your birthday is like not right anymore.
Oh. Oh yeah, that would be pretty weird and more noticeable for the very young characters, mainly Damien and maybe also Tim. But yeah, that would be really weird.
That and Batman didn't age at all because he was still stuck in the time stream thing. So he'll still be normal, but everyone else just got older.
Although we don't really know how much time passed during the movie. Like, there was definitely some time skips that could have been weeks, maybe even months.
Yeah.
It's long enough that Joker goes from being Nobunaga to cultivating a farm with Harley Quinn. and then goes back. Like, it seems like it was only a few days, but they were working that farm for a bit. Plants sprouted. Like,
Yeah. They ever tell you
it
why I
might have been
hate time
closer to
travel?
3 years they were.
Yeah. I hate time travel with a passion because it brings up questions like this that I hate so much.
I like time travel, but I like time travel in stories that are about these questions rather than trying to handwave them.
Right.
But yeah, it in this context though, it is really frustrating. And speaking of frustrating tropes, what do we think about the Bat Clan prophecy?
Okay, so that's just like a disguised white savior trope right there.
Yeah,
That made me kind of uncomfortable because it's like one day a foreigner will come and save our country for us.
one day on this podcast, we're going to have to cover The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, and I wonder how similar it will be to this movie in that respect. Yeah, I mean, you have the white savior thing. You also have the chosen one trope, where like somehow someone in Japan foresaw that Batman from the 21st century would be shot back in time to lead an army of samurai to battle against the fucking Joker. Does that? I realize this is the DC universe, and that's not even the weirdest part of it referenced in this movie. Like, Gorilla Grodd is in this film. But oh man, I don't know. Like, you hate time travel, I hate prophecies. I feel like unless you do something really interesting, they really deflate the narrative tension by basically having someone in universe go, "This is how the story will end."
Yeah, because like Batman's just going, I will become their prophecy. I will become their savior. And it's like, what is this? I don't think Batman would talk like this. He'd be more logical than that, wouldn't he?
You would think. I mean, I could see the Batman from the Brave and the Bold cartoon kind of doing this, but he would also be more self-defacing about it and would have a more supporting role to the natives because he's been through this before with like Merlin and Kamandi the Last Boy. I won't get into all that, but yeah, this Batman really goes with the flow while also kind of hogging the spotlight.
Goes with the flow while training in the dojo.
Sure, why not? If you have to. Uh, this is kind of weird, and I don't know if this is intentional or is just me going insane. At the end of the movie, Gorilla Grodd has a magic flute that summons monkeys, and they all have the same design. And something that stood out to me as soon as I saw them is the color of their armor and the way that it is on their back and head makes them look kind of like Detective Chimp.
Detective Chimp.
And I don't know. Do you know Detective Chimp?
I vaguely that's a real deep pull.
Yeah, I mean, for this movie, it kind of is. But they already have Gorilla Grodd. I could believe that they like looked up other DC ape characters. Let me see if I can share my screen and show you what I'm talking about. Because here. Like they kind of looked like
Oh,
this to
yeah.
me
Okay, I can see
a
that.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it got like the Sherlock Holmes fit a little bit, especially when his outfit is a kind of grayish yellow instead of green.
Well, I know I'm putting in the
But
thumbnail for
yeah,
this.
I think that might be confusing, but anyway, yeah, I just had that in mind when they were on screen. It's a very specific look, and it might be a coincidence, but I don't know, it haunted me. And speaking of the chimps, so end of the movie, everybody has giant robots.
Holy shit! It's such a I I was not expecting the giant robots.
I was, because I've seen a trailer for the movie, and I was aware at the very least Grodd and Joker would each be piloting a giant robot by the end of the movie. So it wasn't that big a surprise to me that all of them had a giant robot, but I didn't really like it.
It's just like, where'd they get the materials in the past to build all this? Where'd they all get the information and knowledge for industry? Is it just Gorilla Grodd who did it all, and then they're like, okay, now you can all rule?
Oh, yes. Yes and no. So this actually is explained in the dub, so who knows if this was the original intention. But after Grodd uses his device to remotely take control of all the villains, he does exposit that he had kind of mentally hacked them already a while ago,
Oh,
and that was the reason they were all able to build giant robots on their own, was because he had preemptively given them the knowledge and capacity to do that.
Yeah. It turns out he can mind control stupid people, but not the Bat Clan because they're not dumb.
I learned this technique from Tibetan monks. I mean, Japanese monks. Yeah. They just... It's Jedi mind trick rules, you know? You have to have a strong enough force of will.
Hey, by the way, I had a quick question about the Bat Clan. Is Aeon, is he
Yeah.
an actual character, or is he just made for this film?
Yeah, I mean, without looking it up, I'm pretty sure he's original to this movie. I don't think he's from anything.
Yeah. For folks who don't know, Aeon is the guy who runs the Bat Clan trying to find Batman for the prophecy. And yeah, he just sort of shows up. He's got some unique looking sidekicks with him who don't even get names or voice lines either. It's like they had their whole entire like thing going on, and then they're like, we don't exist anymore. We're all for you, Batman.
Which is, yeah, we didn't bring them up in the non-spoiler section because I don't think we had enough to say. but yeah, he's there. And it's too bad that we got this random guy, because there are actually Japanese Batman characters. I admittedly had to pull it up because I don't know their names off the top of my head, but Jiro Osamu is the Batman of Japan in the present, part of Batman Incorporated, which is Batman's venture to create a Batman in every country. And, you know, obviously he wouldn't exist in feudal Japan, but we're already playing pretty fast and loose. Why not introduce him to be Batman's like contact in that historical period? But, you know, that would require you to take time to establish a pre-existing character and adapt their iconic character traits to a new setting, and not enough people know who this guy is for it to be an interesting rebrand like the Joker or Harley Quinn. So yeah, but no, the Bat Clan's a whole new thing as far as I know, and I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah. Plus, the whole time I saw the bats swarming people, I just kept thinking, like, they're gonna get rabies. This is gonna be really bad.
Oh, that'd be funny.
But what did you think about the monkey bat Voltron thing that fought the giant Joker mech?
What are we doing? Like, how does that work? Like, giant robots fusing together, what's they do? All the giant robots become a Megazord. Is a time-tested trope, and it makes enough sense. You know, some machines do have the capacity to be combined together. It's kind of inexplicable these random ones could, but, you know, Gorilla Grodd, like we said, he planned all this. But yeah, I don't know. Like, the monkeys climbing on top of each other to be a giant monkey is real dumb. It's real dumb, and it only gets more confusing when they combine with a swarm of bats to become a giant Batman.
And what was up with the look of that Batman, too?
Oh, I actually have an answer for that question. He looks like Golden Age Batman. Like, he looks like the Batman, the first one. like the way his ears are, and I mean, obviously he's more yellow because of the detective Chimp outfits, but in terms of his like silhouette and design, is like the original Batman. This is actually kind of cool. I like that aspect of this part individually, ignoring all the stupid stuff that lets it happen to begin with.
Yeah, it was a
This
cute
is
little Easter egg.
yeah. This is real morbid, but one of the parts of this I liked was that there is a bit where the giant monkey thing gets like lit on fire,
Oh god.
and we see that the individual apes are being consumed in flames and dying. And I know that's horrific, but it added just the slightest bit of realism to this nonsense situation. I was like, okay, I'm kind of back in.
Yeah. Okay. I won't tell the ASPCA or anything, all right?
Because at some point, like Grodd or Joker, whoever's driving at that point, their giant robot like punches them or throws a missile at them or something, and the apes just like art, so the attack doesn't hit anyone. And it's just nonsense. Like I don't even know what I'm looking at. Like it's just a in most of the shots, it's just like a blob. Like you can't even make out the monkeys comprising it.
Yeah, it got pretty messy towards the end with that giant robot, giant monkey mech fight. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that premise. Which is, yeah, this whole. So in some places, this movie is like the worst Gurren Lagann and the worst possible lens. This, not only in that we're getting a giant robot fight, but it's a very. If you've seen Gurren Lagann, you're watching this and you're like, oh, this is a Gurren Lagann fight. Like, I don't think you've seen that show.
I have not.
Yeah,
I know
it's a
about
good
it.
one. I'd recommend it. Yeah. Yeah, the thing like the monkeys making something that's functionally a giant robot without actually being a giant robot is also kind of a Gurren Lagann thing. But yeah,
What did you think about
uh,
the final sword fight?
oh, between Batman and Joker,
Yeah.
that was really cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was badass. I mean, it's always kind of weird to see Batman and Joker fight at an even level because that's not usually Joker's thing. But in the context of this movie, I thought it was a pretty effective fight. It was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah. It felt like a good sort of climax to the film. Like we finally saw them just beat the tar out of each other. And just comparing that to how lame the giant mech fight was, I'm like, where was this the whole time at, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the movie definitely did better when it was focusing on smaller scale character action over these big battles.
Oh,
That's another way I could see. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, no, you go ahead first.
I was going to say that's another way I could see this adaptation being better. Like if you have to have all these characters, maybe make it like a 6 episode show where each episode is like Red Hood goes over there and fights Penguin, and now this episode Red Hood deals with Deathstroke, and smaller character fights instead of a big battle to wrap everything up. But go ahead. What were we gonna say?
I was gonna say the best character moment was when Red Hood fought a hypnotized Joker and Harley Quinn. Even though it wasn't a fight, it was just him brutally beating them down horribly. That scene made me so
Mhm.
uncomfortable, but it was like a really interesting character moment.
It did. It was very interesting. It was also kind of cool that they totally switched animation styles for that part of the movie.
Yeah, and it's like, why can't the whole movie
Uh,
look like this? This looks great.
yeah, I don't know if I don't know. What do you call that? Rotoscoping? Is that how that was shot? That's what it looked
Yes, a lot
like.
of it was rotoscoping. I'm a fan of rotoscoping since like the Fleischer Superman cartoons. I've looked into that. It's neat stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want a full movie that looked like that, but I liked it like breaking up the movie.
Yeah.
Um, what I liked even more, as just my preference, is during post or mid credits, there's a bit where we see Catwoman selling something she stole from feudal Japan in a modern day pawn shop, and that uses 2D animation, and the 2D animation there looks really good.
Yeah, I noticed
I
that
kind of
too.
wish that had been the default style. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I'm just assuming 3D animation was done for budgetary reasons. It was cheap to do so. You just make a model, you don't have to worry about constantly drawing individual frames.
Probably that would make the most sense. But yeah, the Red Hood Joker scene is really good in that one moment, but it's weird though because it's a longer scene than most of the scenes in this movie, but it's still a pretty small part of the movie. But it keeps getting brought up after that. It's treated like the crux of Joker's story is how he had amnesia for a little bit and kind of had it on purpose, then broke out of it to join the fight again. Even though that's coming after he spent 2 years being Nobunaga. The fact that he tricked Batman with amnesia is more important. And it does not feel earned that Joker goes on about, ha, I got the best of you, I tricked you. Like, that would make sense if we had a full movie about Joker, like, working with Batman, like, Light and L style, pretending like he wasn't the Joker. But the fact that it was only really that one scene that focused on it, you know, it makes it weird to keep bringing it up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. It's also, like I said, still my favorite part, but yeah, I did not care for the self-hypnotization thing. I thought at first it was just going to be, oh, he broke his amnesia because he caught a glimpse of Batman or something, you know?
It's also not the first time they've done that. Joker, like, not being Joker for a while is kind of a well-trod idea. There was an arc called Going Sane, where Joker gives up being the Joker for a while and comes back to it when he sees Batman again. I believe he believes Batman's dead during that time period. During the New 52, there was a comic book called Super Heavy, during which Batman and Joker both almost died and both had amnesia for a while and lived life away from being their alter egos. The Harley Quinn show had an arc about Joker not remembering he was Joker and being a normal family man. There are other examples too, but it's I've seen it done better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, you know, for my experience as like a Batman reader, watching this was kind of like, oh, this again, you know? But,
Yeah.
you know, you have to take it as it is individually. So. Yeah, so I like the last fight between Batman and the Joker, but the swarm of bats and how they contributed to that fight was a little confusing to me. It felt like Batman was using like shadow clone jitsu.
That's what I was thinking.
Like Joker couldn't tell if he was stabbing Batman or a swarm of bats, but like neither could I. And I could kind of understand it if the bats looked like Batman's cape and cowl, but I don't know how you look like Batman's face and body.
Also, that implies Batman let some innocent bats get killed, and that makes me sad.
Batman would absolutely let innocent bats get killed. Batman is only against killing people. Only talking about other cartoon adaptations, I have seen Batman kill crocodiles. I have seen Batman kill lions and tigers, parademons, sentient aliens, and other monsters. But yeah, I think Batman would definitely let some bats die for the cause. I mean, he's pulled this trope in comics too. Like Batman Year One, he summons a swarm of bats into a building to confuse and scare some police officers who are shooting at him. And actually, it's mentioned after that everyone who was there had to get a rabies shot in the comic. So.
Ew.
Well, in a tie-in Catwoman comic, actually, but the point still stands. So, yeah, this fun fact, you brought that up earlier. Anyway. The early fight with the Batmobile was kind of fun. when Batman first battles Castle Arkham, it was called.
Yeah, Arkham Castle.
The way the the way the Batmobile gradually turns into like a mini mech that Batman's wearing is very reminiscent of Gurren. I don't know if you know this. The name Gurren Lagann refers to two different robots,
Huh.
which combine together, and Gurren is the head of that robot, which autonomously acts like a mech on its own that's only slightly taller than a normal human. Um, so watching Batman fight in his transformed Batmobile reminded me a lot of the times when Gurren fights separate from Lagann in the show. So, I don't know how deliberate that was, but considering there was creative talent overlap between those projects, it stood out to me, and it was kind of neat to see.
Yeah. It was fun to watch that sequence. Yeah.
Anything else in spoilers for you?
I'm just thinking about Munkachi's girlfriend and how that just sort of showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole Monk Chi thing was weird. I feel like my brain almost edited that out. It's like,
I mean, it was a good gag though. Like Munkachi's girlfriend just shows up and Wonder Robin's like, "Who's she?" And then it just never gets addressed. I like that kind of humor.
yeah, because Robin knew her, right? He was like, "Oh, Mokami," or whatever she was called.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That was funny.
All right. On that note, do you care if we briefly transition to Tangent's 3-minute hate?
I've been waiting for it.
All right. So this came up earlier. You mentioned when we saw Batman fight Cthulhu, which was Batman: The Doom That Came to Gotham. And here's the thing about this movie. A frequent line people have, or used to have, is Marvel excels at movies, as in live action movies, where DC excels at animation. And that was true at a time. When people say that, they're mostly talking about the late 90s and early 2000s. And that's when Marvel was making the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and the original X-Men movies. And DC was putting out what we now call the DCAU, with Batman, the animated series, Superman, the Justice League, Batman Beyond, cartoons that have gone on to be widely celebrated and loved. But frankly, unfortunately, that was a long time ago. And in my opinion, since then, DC has really been coasting on their reputation for good animation. That's not to knock everything they've put out in between now and then. Teen Titans has a lot of fans. Young Justice is one of my personal favorite animated series. But, oh my god, the movies. The animated DC movies, again, there are exceptions to this too, but they are just crass by and large. Like, what have we got? We have the DCAMU, which is a clunky-ass name to start with, which mostly adapts New 52 comic books as directly as possible, including their horrible costume designs, and will sometimes borrow from earlier eras, but regardless, just puts such little effort into the script and storytelling. And then you have just direct, somewhat adjusted adaptations of popular DC comics like Dark Knight Returns, Year One, Death of Superman. Like, I haven't watched all of these, so I shouldn't condemn them all in one breath, but I keep giving them chances. I keep looking through their catalog and go, oh, a Justice Society movie. This sounds fun. And then I watch Justice Society World War II, and I keep learning the same lesson. And Batman into this feels kind of... What? What about your home?
I left them into my home.
Yeah, and into my HBO Max account, which is almost more sacred. But yeah, Batman Ninja feels like another proud entry in that lineage of movies whose thematic underpinning really should have been adapted into a t-shirt instead.
Or a Fortnite skin.
God. Yeah, that would be a fitting condemnation too. But yeah, I mean, was I let down by this movie? No, but my prior opinion was reinforced. I hope this episode didn't feel lacking, viewer. I feel like our energy was kind of lower. And I think a lot of that was just because this isn't exactly the most inspiring topic. We didn't have a begrudging respect for it or somewhat adoration for it like we did Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And we didn't have a strong condemnation of it like we did Cowboy Bebop Netflix edition. It simply is, and I have no choice but to accept it. Ugh, but man, yeah, in between this and Cowboy Bebop last time, we definitely need to cover some like real movies soon, or I will go insane.
I'll I'll think of something for next time that's a bit better.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay. We have some good stuff on the docket. I picked this one, so to the degree any blame is warranted, this one's on me. But but onwards and upwards. I guess just briefly before we start to draw this episode to a close, we did get some more announcements. DC recently had an animation event, and I'm happy to say they're giving some more opportunities to their lesser-known characters. And by lesser-known characters, I do mean Batman. We are getting an animated series based on the recent Absolute Batman comic by Scott Snyder. I haven't personally read it, but from what I hear, it's really good. It's definitely on my TBR list. So, that's encouraging, especially since Scott Snyder is directly involved as showrunner, which is a surprising degree of power for a comic book writer in one of these adaptations. We have an anime based on the Joker coming out called Joker Laugh Riot, which is apparently about the Joker in a scenario where Batman is killed and Joker becomes a vigilante trying to bring his killer to justice. Yeah, so, you can expect to see us cover that. Guess how excited I am, but you never know. The Amazon Batman cartoon Caped Crusader is getting a second season. Did you see any of that, Snipe?
I think we saw like the first 2 episodes. I thought it was okay. It was trying to capture that, like old Batman cartoon energy, but I wasn't really feeling it for some reason.
Yeah, I came back to it after that. I've seen all but the last episode of season 1. And the fact that I've seen every episode except for the finale kind of gives away how I feel about it. Yeah, it's definitely lacking. It's not my favorite. Kind of like this. It's not my favorite. It's not horrible. It's more of that here. And we have a trilogy of animated movies based on the Batman Nightfall arc. It's more stuff. Probably it'll be the best adaptation we've gotten of Bane yet, since that's where Bane is from, and it's kind of his best showing as a character. And we'll get more Tim Drake Robin. So, there's stuff to potentially like there. I don't know if I love the character models I've seen for it, but. And lastly, as far as Batman goes, they are releasing other things, believe it or not, but technically that's outside the purview of this project. We have a cartoon called DC Superpowers, which is based on an old toy line loosely, and is about a superhero school where a team of young heroes are being trained by older, more experienced heroes, one of those teachers being Batman.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
This kind of just sounds like Young Justice.
I didn't really draw that comparison, but I see where you're coming from.
Huh.
Yeah, in some ways, I mean, Young Justice, you had younger heroes being trained, being overseen, I guess, by older ones. There was some training, but it wasn't like the focus of the show. But the lineup here is weird because Young Justice was also about sidekick characters. This show isn't. The characters being trained, it's kind of bizarre how they're selecting character ages because I think the trainees are supposed to be kids. But some of the trainees include Guy Gardner of the Green Lanterns, Black Lightning, who usually in his civilian identity is a high school principal. Batman the Brave and the Bold also aged him down to be a teenager, so there's more connective tissue for you. Plastic Man, who's typically an experienced gangster before he becomes a superhero. And a few who are teenagers, like I believe the Flash is one of the kids being trained, but it's the Jesse Chambers version, who's a newer character that I think is associated with Jay Garrick. And apparently in the show, the trainees, when they do something right, will get upgrades from their teachers that make their powers better. It sounds really weird.
Sounds like the premise for a toy line.
Oh, I think it is. I think this is like the new iteration of like DC superhero girls or something, you know? That's something my little sister's really into. But I think it's definitely a toy line geared towards younger children. Yeah. And that's probably why Guy Gardner is one of the kids, because they expect him to be kind of recognizable after appearing in like the Superman movie and stuff.
Does he still keep the bowl cut?
That's that's his whole thing. Like Guy Gardner without the bowl cut is a different character. It's like non-bowl cut Guy Gardner does exist, but it's kind of like Batman, but he kills. It's a radical reinterpretation of the character. I think I've heard that he has a bowl cut themed catchphrase in the show. Like no footage has been released, but people have seen some bits from it apparently, and I guess the bowl cut is heavily emphasized. No surprise there.
How embarrassing.
But yeah, that's our Batman news section of this podcast. I promise, unless you guys just really want it, it will not be often featured, but it felt like something relevant to talk about, especially since this is mostly news that broke the week of filming, which means by the time you actually hear it, it will have broken like a month or more ago. So it goes. What else do you have to say for yourself, Snipe?
Hey, this ain't my fault. You chose to film.
No, I've just meant generally. What else do you have to say before we log off?
Basically, we have an email address if y'all want to contact us for any reasons, be it fan mail, hate mail, just mail. What is that website, WebZone? What is that called?
WebZone? Do you mean what's our email address?
Yeah, that's it.
The wheels are falling off real hard, Snipe. Oh my god. Okay. It is RedWhiteAndOtaku at gmail.com. If we've done our jobs right, that will be down in the description for you to copy and paste into your address bar. Yeah, RedWhiteAndOtaku at gmail.com. Send us anything. Opinions, recommendations, criticisms, what you'd like to see more of, less of. Who is your favorite Batman waifu? Let us know. We want to hear it. We're also active on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Reddit. It's all the same thing. Red, White, and Otaku. Go to your favorite social media option and plug that in. If we're there, you'll find us.
That's right.
All right, and what are we talking about next time, Snipey Snipe?
Well, next time we'll be embarking on a little sneaking mission. That's right. It's the original Metal Gear. I hope you're ready, Colonel.
Yep. Our first time going to Shadow Moses. I think. Wait, is that? No,
No,
that's
it's
Metal Gear
Outer
Solid,
Heaven.
isn't it?
It's Outer Heaven.
Outer Heaven. Okay, yeah. So that's just to clarify for all of you. Next time we will be covering the original Metal Gear, not Solid. This is a no, it's not Liquid either. All of
was
these
gonna say that.
things mean things.
Yep, we may or may not do
But
both Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. It just depends on how much content there is.
precisely, yeah. So we're going to be doing this. Ideally, it'll come out the same week as Master Collection Volume 2. So anybody who is hoping to get in the Master Collection Volume 2 and just jump straight into Peace Walker or 4, wants the backstory explaining how we got here, will be available to share it. And I think it'll be our first time playing the game. Have you played Metal Gear before?
I only played a little bit. I was very bad at it, so I'm going to have to try to get good, as the kids say.
Yeah, I think I played the opening mission at your house too, or like the start of it. I also didn't get very far. I looked up on howtobeat.com though, and apparently it only takes about 4 to 5 hours, but that might be if you're decent at the game. So hopefully we'll both be able to complete it before record time.
Hopefully. It'll be all right.
We'll figure it out. Anyway, so yeah, join us for that one here in about 2 weeks.
Alrighty. I've been
I think that does it for us.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've been Sheltered Snipe.
And I've been Tangent Man.
Thank you all so much for watching or listening.